there is a chapter 4 which we proceed with our progress, which we started from chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3. So here there is a chapter 4, but I want to remind you that those chapters which we are learning or which we are studying here are demanded to be taught by a pupil of standard 5. So you have to be very careful. So you can be, if you will be out of these standards 5, it is not consigned, it's not your consign. So you have to I was trying to remember you, maybe you are out of that standard as I tried to mention. So you can learn something which is not matches with your level. So in chapter 4 we have to see some issues on these chapters. So the chapter 4 is caring for oneself and for others. So on the first chapter we started discussing about loving yourself and others. So apart from loving yourself and others, so on this chapter 4 we are going to see how can we care oneself, I mean yourself, and the others. That's why you have a lot of your friends, you have a lot of your neighbors, you have a lot of your schoolmates. So those people which I'm trying to mention is others. So they are included on this others. So the introduction of this chapter is that in chapter 1 you learned about love for oneself and others, particularly for those which special needs. You also learned about respecting people of the opposite sex and addressing decently. In this chapter you will learn how to recognize and avoid the kinds of behavior that disturb peace in the family, and at school. You will also learn how to denounce the report socially unaccepted behavior. In addition, you will also learn how to participate in development activities in your family and how to relate with others. In the community, how to relate in a community. Moreover, you will learn to maintain good relationships with your neighbors by participating in solving problems. So this is a short introduction that tries to brief what or to make to relate about a first chapter which we discussed concerned with this chapter. So here on the first chapter we discussed how can we love ourselves and others. But in this chapter, particularly to the special groups, I mean disabled ones, orphans, and others, as we looked on the first chapter. But in this chapter, we are going to discuss about how can we oneself or others, how can we care oneself and others. Also here we are going to discuss about the behaviors which can disturb the family members at your family, or your neighbors, or pupils in the class, your fellow pupils in the class, or schoolmates and the others. So here, those are the issues which we will observe one after another. So we will start we will start with unaccepted behavior in the family. Unaccepted behavior in the family. So when we are talking about unaccepted behavior in the family, are those behaviors which are not accepted, are considered to be immoral or moral decay in our society. So here I will try as much as I can to mention several behaviors which are not accepted in our society or in our family level or wherever we are in Tanzania according to our culture. So the first one is in the family, certain behavioral activities are not accepted. These include the first behavior which is not accepted in the particular family or in our society is rape. Rape. You are trying to force a girl, either a girl or a boy, to sex with him or her without willingness of him or her. So that is rape. Kubaka. That is unaccepted behavior in the family. Another one is homosexuality. So when we're talking about homosexuality, is another unacceptable behavior in the society or in the family. So you are the same sex. So if you are in the same sex, you are trying to be engaged or to force or to use any means so as to be engaged in sexual with a person who have the same sex. So they can be a girl with another girl. They can want to sex while they have the same sex. So that is called homosexuality. This is another unacceptable behavior in the family or in the society. Another is mental punishment. Mental punishment, and the second one is child labor. So we know there are some people who use children as their labors, and we can say there are some families who use either a daughter or a son as a houseboy or as a house girl, while their age do not allow them to be employed or to be engaged in such activity. So that we call child labor. Also asking children to do tasks that are beyond their ability. So there are some parents who force their children to be engaged or to perform some activities which cannot be performed by a child. So that is another unacceptable behavior in the family. Also denying children of their basic needs. So I hate so much when I meet with parents who fail to find out basic needs for their children. So there are several children who fail to get the basic needs. So the failure of the parents make their children to fail to get those basic needs. Finally, they being engaged in criminal activities or to be employed, that is child labor. So that is another issue which we are talking about unacceptable behavior in either in the family or in the society. Also another one, such as basic needs are food, clothes, and accommodation or shelter. Mahitaji ya msingi, chakula, nguo na maradhi. We have several children who fail to have a specific area for accommodation or for shelter. Also not listening to their problems and the sexual harassment. So those are examples of unacceptable behavior in the family. So you have to take it. We have to take those unacceptable behavior in the family, as I was trying to give you explanations about those. So there is passage here, you may read it so as to answer the questions that fall. Also, through this story, there are a lot of issues which you may learn. There are several issues or examples which you may learn about unacceptable behavior in the family. So you may read it. You may read this story, and you can tackle an exercise 1 here. Also, another issue is discouraging bad acts in school. So there are some actions which discourage either the teachers or a student. There are some students or there are some pupils who stop attending at the school because of discouraging them through bad acts in the school, like physical punishment and any other issue related to the discouraging bad acts to the pupils. So you may ask yourself, what is an event which made some students to admire stopping their learning or not attending at the school? Mistreatment. So also mistreatment are those undesirable actions which can be occurred either or can be caused by either a teacher or a pupil, him or herself, and other related to that. Also, another issue in this, another key issue in this chapter is participating in the family income generating activities. So every family has their own task or activity that enable that family or a particular family to survive. So you have to trace back on your family which activity that is being involved, or that your parents or your guardians are being involved and making your family to survive. So that is participating in family income. So it can be agricultural activity, or it can be any task or any activity that help that particular family to survive. So you may read this chapter, this passage, and you can get some issues as appears on that. So there is example here is livestock or animal keeping is one among of activities that enable several families in our country to survive. Also, building good relationship with others in the community. So if you live in the community, you have to create a good relationship that will allow to have good relationships with your friends, with your neighbors, with your schoolmates, with your with your street mate or any person who's have established the relationship with you. So that is another issue. You have to build good relationship. So good relationship is a kind of relationship that does not cause any kind of harmful or any negative impact either to yourself or to your fellow or to all of you. So that is another issue which you have to consider. Also, you have to report any mistreatment event that has been occurred either at the school or in the classroom or in your family or your neighbor and so on. So there is another story here which you may take your time so as to read and get a lot of issues as we started introducing in this chapter. So helping with your fellows. Also is to be engaged in several groups. In Kiswahili we can call scout. So if there is a FEMA club at your school, so you have to join it. If there is an arts club or a club which concern about a particular subject, you have to be engaged on that so as to accumulate a lot of knowledge apart from that knowledge which are given by teachers in the classroom. So that will enable you to have extra knowledge concerning several issues which maybe cannot be taught by your teacher. Also, as I said, as a pupil, you have to be engaged in extra curriculum activities apart from activities which are being conducted on the classroom. So there are other activities like cleanliness, also to prepare a garden or vegetable, and among all issues which can help you to have such knowledge that cannot be available in the class. So this is a task which you have to reveal about those issues which we discussed on this chapter. So there are several questions that will measure your understandings about those issues concerning on the a certain chapter. So let us end here on this chapter. So we will proceed on chapter 5 in another session. Thank you for listening to me.